relaxed and at home I feel. Just look over my shoulder at the number of beautiful women that came out tonight. I think we have over 350 women who are in the room right now. And it's a social environment that is just perfect for creating something really, really special. This is what I came for. This is what I need. There will be relationships that are created tonight. Undoubtedly, there will be a few that are life-defining. I just wanted to share the energy and the buzz in this beautiful environment with you.
All right, gentlemen, thank you for joining our webinar tonight. I'm so glad to be with you. My name is John Adams, co-founder of A Foreign Affair. And yes, you are stuck with me for another Monday night because Bud is still out in Ukraine doing what he does. He is, actually, they just had their social in Kharkov, Ukraine yesterday, and I heard it went very, very well. And now today the guys have been dating with the women they met at that social or other women they haven't had a chance yet to meet, and getting to know them. So until Bud gets back, which I believe will be next Monday, you will have him as your host, but today you're stuck with me, which is fine. I love being here. I used to do this years and years ago every Monday night, and I love answering your questions and trying to give you as much information as possible about how all this works. All right, so a little bit of housekeeping we want to get out of the way before we get to our topic tonight, which is the top 10 barriers that prevent men from taking advantage of something like this. Oh, by the way, I have my pumpkin and my football. Greg actually used this kind of little set the other day when he did his show, and I really liked it because I love fall. It is my favorite season of the year, and the pumpkins and the footballs and all that stuff. It's just like this big slice of comfort food. Just love it. So I'm happy to have my little pumpkin here. I'm going to hold on to it as long as I can. It'll probably be like, you know, next July I'll still have my pumpkin. But anyways, all right. I want to talk a little bit about our seminars that are coming up. We only have, guys, 3 more seminars scheduled for the rest of 2018. That's it. 3 more opportunities to get in front of us and learn what this is really all about as far as how the tours work and all that great stuff. So This is going to be coming up here, I believe it's next week. We have one in Albuquerque. Guys, we've never done a seminar in Albuquerque. And for all of your Albuquerqueans out there listening to this, don't make me look bad because they're like, oh, Albuquerque, yeah, it's not that big of a city. No, Albuquerque's cool. I love Albuquerque, and I want to get out there and do a wonderful seminar. Actually, Bud's going to be one that's going to be doing it because I couldn't make that date, but I think it's going to be wonderful. And all you guys from New Mexico got to get yourselves over there to Albuquerque on December 8th. It's going to be at the Homeward Suites by Hilton at the airport in Albuquerque. All right, so December 8th, guys, go. Bud puts on an amazing seminar. You'll learn lots and lots of things you never knew about international dating, and you'll get some really cool seminar-only discounts. So if you can do it, get yourself there. Actually, myself and Tanya will be in Houston the following week. We'll be in Houston December 15th and then Dallas on the 16th. And I love you guys in Texas. You make those seminars so much fun. I get some of you guys that keep coming back, which is wonderful. Some of you guys have gone on a tour and you come to it. And we all talk, we bond, we share. And that's what these seminars are really all about, is just getting the information, not just from myself or just from Tanya, but also from some of the guys that have been on our tours and have experienced it firsthand. And they come to these things and they talk about them and they're wonderful. So if you can make it to Houston or Dallas or Albuquerque, just let us know. Give us a quick RSVP. You can see how to do it right on the site. It's real easy, and we'd love to have you. Just call in, just so we know how much food to order and stuff. Because you get free food while you're there too. Hard to go wrong at these seminars. We'll have fun. All right. So tonight, guys, I was just thinking here today what we're going to talk about here a little bit on the show tonight, and I realized that we just, as of yesterday, performed our last social of 2018. That's it. We have no more tours coming up. The last two tours are in progress as we speak, and they both have now already gone through their socials, and now they're in the dating stage of the tour. And that's both in China and in the Ukraine, and that's it. We have no other tours scheduled for 2018, and if you didn't have the opportunity to go on a tour in 2018, then you're just not. All right. I mean, at this point, it's too late. All the tours are over. The good news is we have the whole tour schedule for 2019. So that's there, and you can look forward to that. But if you're one of those guys that were thinking at the end of 2017 and into the beginning of 2018 that this was going to be the year, this was going to be the time that you actually did this and got yourself out there to one of these destinations, whether it's Thailand or Philippines or Ukraine or China or Costa Rica or Colombia or wherever it is, and you didn't, why didn't you? Think about that for a minute. What kept you from going? It's funny, when I do these seminars, and for all of you that have been to our seminars, at the end, I have my top 10 list of why guys, what prevents guys, what are the barriers that prevent guys from actually doing this? Because I'll tell you, more and more of you are doing it, and I think it's wonderful. But when we first started this, I had no clue, no idea that it was going to be this difficult to get you guys to do this, to get you guys to actually go over and meet beautiful women, beautiful single women who actually want to meet you, who actually want to try and start a relationship. I mean, how hard is that? It's a no-brainer, right? Well, I guess not, because we've been doing this now for 23 years, and it is not as easy as you would think to get guys to go over. Even though we've been doing it for so long, even though we have a tremendous track record, it is still difficult. And I can see it in some respects, but if I was a single guy, I'd be all over this. Sorry, Tanya, I'm not. I'm happily married. That's a wonderful thing. She's probably not even watching. Tanya never watches this anymore, unfortunately. Tanya, if you're watching, I love you out there, dear. Hopefully you're watching. All right, so guys, let's talk about this a little bit. We're going to talk about the top 10 reasons why guys may not do this. All right, and before I do that, I'm going to take a couple questions, and I'm going to answer a couple of these questions, and then I'm going to kind of go in, and we'll get through all 10 tonight, I promise. I'm also going to try to answer all your questions. You always get a ton of questions, so I'm going to try to get through your questions as much as I can, and hopefully we'll get it all done. But I want to get through these top 10 reasons as well, because I think it's really interesting. Because, guys, we are nearing the end of 2018. That's where we make all those year-end resolutions. I'm going to change my life. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. We get all that, right? And I'm not going to be alone anymore. That's one of those resolutions that we all make if we're single towards the end of the year. This is going to be a year that I change it. This is going to be the year that I devote more energy into making something happen for me. This is going to be the year that I try something like international dating, like one of these tours. But for some reason, if you're still out there watching this and you haven't gone on one of these tours, you didn't do it in 2018. And now it's too late for 2018. It's gone. It's dinosaur tracks, as I call it. Anything in the past, it's just might as well be dinosaur tracks. You can't change it. That's fine, because we can move to the future and we can look to the future. That hasn't happened yet, and we still have the ability to make that a reality, right? So let's not dwell on the past. That's over. 2018 is almost done. All the tours for 2018 are done, but let's move on to the future here. So I'm going to talk, though, about the 10 reasons why I think men don't do this. And if you are, kind of giving yourself one of those reasons, maybe we can talk about it a little bit here and hopefully help you make that step for 2019. All right. Frank's asking, though, before we get into our number one reason, our first reason, Frank's asking, how do the women join the site? Well, Frank, we've been around now for 23 years, and we have a wonderful reputation with women in all the different countries that we service. And they tell, a lot of it's word of mouth. A lot of their friends have met and married via our site, and so their friends will tell their friends, hey, if you're really interested in meeting a foreigner for a serious relationship, this site's trustworthy, it's a great site, the staff will take good care of you, all of that. So that's one of the reasons, or one of the ways in which the women come to us. We also do advertising, obviously, to let women who haven't heard about us by word of mouth understand that this option exists for them, and so they come to us in that way as well. So lots of different ways that we allow, or we get the word out to the women so that they know that this is a great option for them if they do want to meet a serious man from another country. All right. Let's see here. Steve is saying, thanks for scheduling your Philippine webcast with Greg and Glenda twice a month now. Yes, we are doing that twice a month now due to popular demand by you guys. I don't know if Greg's paying you guys or what, but I get calls like once a day. John, we need more Philippine. We need more Glenda and Greg. It's usually more Glenda than Greg, and I get that. She's much better looking. But yeah, we're doing that now twice a month, and it's great. They give a lot of good information about the Philippines in particular, but also about the whole process in particular. They're a newly married couple, and they're going through everything that you might be going through when you meet someone. Tanya and I have now been married for going on 20 years coming up here in a couple of months. So we're at a different stage than Greg and Glenda, and it's cool because we can both speak to these different stages of the marriage with someone from a different country. And I'll tell you guys, I wouldn't change it for anything. It's been an amazing experience ever since I met Tanya at one of our socials 22 years ago now. We've known each other now for 22 years, and she's an amazing woman, and it's a wonderful thing. All right. Let's see. Adam's asking why your recorded videos go away from YouTube once the live session is over. I don't know, Kirk. Why is that? What's that?
It's on our website.
Oh, because you got to go to the website. Just go to the website, and you'll be able to get it there. All right? All right. Let's see here. I'm going to take this one more question, then we're going to go into these barriers here. But this is coming from Robert. Robert's traveling to the Ukraine to meet a woman he met at the Odessa Social. Congratulations, Robert. Yeah, that's great. But he's concerned about the announcement of martial law and how that affects my plans. Will I be able to travel there in January? Robert, I imagine you're not going to have any problem. The one thing that I've learned doing this over the last 23 years is that media will always exaggerate certain things and make things a lot worse than it really is. I've heard this whole thing about the martial law today, and now I just read where, well, it's only going to be limited in certain areas that are really right on the border of Russia with Ukraine. I mean, Russia and Ukraine have a tension. It's been going on for several years now, and it's back and forth, and we've been dealing through it through thick and thin, and we've been doing all of our tours just like we have tours going on now. You know, when things happen, we look at it, we evaluate it, and we do the best that we can. I do not think this is going to in any way affect your trip in January. We'll have to see if anything changes by January, but I can't imagine, and I think you'll be fine. You know, so just check in with us, but I don't think it's going to be an issue. And this isn't just for Russia, Ukraine, where the media will talk about certain things, but in other countries that we go to too, you'll hear the media talking about things. I remember once the media, well, this was in the Ukraine, but they were talking several years ago when they had the Orange Revolution, how terrible it was and everything. One of our clients was watching his television set, that station, because he was getting it from the U.S., and they were talking about it in the square. He was right at the square. His hotel was overlooking the square, and there was just this small little group, but the cameras made it look like it was this huge group, and they totally exaggerated. He was just laughing and calling us and telling us about it. So you got to take it with a grain of salt and really do the research and understand what's really going on. And, you know, if you want to call and talk to us, and I can have you call and talk to the people in Odessa, and they'll tell you firsthand what's going on, but I don't think it's going to be an issue, okay? And I plan on being there in January as well, in late January with our tour. And I think Tanya and I both are going to be there, and really looking forward to that. Can't wait to get there. It's about the only time I get to see snow. And that's a wonderful time of year to be there, I think. Our socials are very well attended. Everything goes great. So really looking forward to that January tour. That's going to be Kyiv, Odessa, guys. For those of you that are thinking about the 2019 schedule, I'd put that one right up there on your list, because both Tanya and I should be on that tour. So that's going to be fantastic. All right? All right. So I want to get to some of our barriers here. Let's go with barrier number 1, which is, do you have that there, Kirk? Where is that? Our first barrier is going to be, is it really real? You know, guys, we've been around now for 23 years. And I'll tell you, in all that time, we've had all kinds of different media. You know, there's Tanya and I on Dr. Phil's show. And just recently we had a television program from Australia go with us called Sunday Night in Australia, and they followed 2 Australians on our tour. This was just like a month or so ago in September. They were on the tour following the guys around. So we've been around for quite some time. You can see there, that was Nightline, the interview that we did. They followed us through the whole tour. So we're real. You can come, you can see us at the seminars, you can come to our offices here in Phoenix. This whole thing is very, very real. We have thousands of marriages over the last 23 years. You know, I can see that concern for someone who was thinking about this at the very beginning, way back when in '95 when we first started. I still remember that very first tour that we took. And those guys, it was a little bit of a leap of faith back then, okay? Those were the pioneers. Those were the guys that, okay, I'm going to do this no matter what, right? And they probably had a right to be a little bit worried about whether it was real or not. But now, with Lisa Ling, I mean, she was with us on the tour to Colombia, and then they did a follow-up with a marriage. I mean, with all the media that we've had looking at us, you know, in so many different ways and so many different features, yeah, it's definitely real, guys. So if you're worried about that, that should not be a concern. It's an amazing experience. All right. Number 2, I think guys worry a little bit about how it just can't work for them. You know, guys, if you never try, if you never give yourself the opportunity, it won't work for you, right? I mean, there's Eric. He was in the documentary they did about us, you know, guy from a small town in Texas. And, you know, he kept trying. It took him a few tries. It took him a few tries to meet his wife, but he kept at it, and sure enough, you know, he met her. They were married. Wonderful. They had a baby together. It's wonderful. And actually, you hear his mother talking about how happy she is for him and everything. You know, it worked for him. It worked for me. You know, I met my wife at one of our socials. It was an amazing experience for me when I met her. I wasn't sure. I was, you know, in my mid-30s, wondering, you know, if I was ever going to meet the one. I had never been married before, and boom, you know, I met her, and yeah, it worked. But I can guarantee you one thing: it won't work if you don't give yourself that opportunity. You have to give yourself the opportunity. All right. Third one that I think some of the guys think about and maybe prevents them from going over is, what would my friends and family think? Okay, my first response or thought to that is, who really cares? You know, this is your life, and you're the one that has to come home to an empty house every night. You're the one that, you know, sees your friends having kids, sees your friends and family having holidays together and all that stuff, and you're always the single guy. And if you're getting any kind of pushback, and unfortunately, some of our friends and family, even now, even in 2018, will still give a little bit of pushback if you're going outside of your own state, or God forbid, your own country, in search of that one special person to share the rest of your life with. And it's only out of ignorance. It really is. They just don't understand how this all really works. They don't get it. And so they're gonna, you know, it's like, you know, sailing off the end of the world. Oh my gosh, you're gonna fall off the end of the world. The world's flat, right? It's that thinking that when you do something that's a little bit different, a little bit outside the box, people are gonna look at you funny and wonder, well, why are you going to Thailand? Why are you going to China? Isn't there a nice girl right around the corner? Well, no, obviously you've been dating and you just haven't found that right person. And why would you limit yourself geographically when it's the most important search you'll ever do, that search of who's going to be with you for the rest of your life? And if you're going to limit it to some small town, I was just talking to a wonderful gentleman, seems like, from Wisconsin. He lives on a ranch in Wisconsin. He has cattle. He's in this small area. There's only, I think he lives a few minutes away from a town of 800 people. You know, his options are probably somewhat limited, you know, and unless he's joining a bunch of domestic dating sites, and even then it's going to be somewhat difficult. But if he can go and experience something like this and meet hundreds of different women at once, women who've expressed the fact that they want to meet someone for a serious relationship, then why wouldn't you give yourself that opportunity? And if your family and your friends really care about yourself, then they're going to be supportive. And we're seeing more and more of that now that it's becoming more and more apparent of what this really is. We're seeing much more support than the opposite from most of our clients' friends and family, which is a wonderful thing. So if you're concerned about what your friends and family are going to think and it's keeping you from doing it, you really need to really readdress what's going on there, because this is for you and only you know what's right for you. All right, let me get to another couple questions and then we'll get to the fourth barrier that I believe. And if you guys can think of any other barriers, let me know. I'd love to see them. All right. Let's see here. With the news in Ukraine, what's the impact on the current social with Bud and the future trips to Ukraine? Well, I just talked with them today, and they didn't mention anything to me about it. Again, the news that I read was that they're limiting this just to the countries that are just bordering Russia. So this doesn't really affect where we're at right now. But if there is any effect, we will deal with it, and it's not a problem. For I understand the tour is going absolutely great, and everything's going very well. All right. So Melvin's asking, when you experience consistent dating failures with one country, does it help to switch focus to another country? So everyone in that country is just not working for you, go to a different country. Well, I don't know about that, Mel. I really don't know. Look, I am a big believer of wherever she is, and if you put yourself out there and you do the numbers game and meet a lot of different people, then you're going to find the right person. And if you're not doing that right now and you're having, failures in that one particular country, it's either that you need to meet more women from that particular country or possibly try a different country. I think variety is the spice of life. And if, let's say you're going to China, it's just not working out in China for whatever reason, but then you go to the Philippines and oh my gosh, it's a totally different culture for you and the women are a little bit different and that works for you better, then that definitely can be a factor, right? So yeah, I think that, you owe it to yourself if instead of just giving up and saying, okay, well, I've dated all these women in this country, it's just not working, so I guess international dating is not for me. I would definitely try a different country, maybe even a couple different countries, and see if you're just better suited for maybe women from a different culture than where you are trying right now. Absolutely a possibility. All right? All right. I don't know, Sly, if we have anyone who looks like Taylor Swift. You'd have to go on there and look. We have 40,000 plus profiles on there. It's funny because guys will take some of the profiles and they'll say, look, this woman looks like this, famous person. This woman looks like this famous person. So, what I would do is I would get on there and I'd start looking at all the different profiles, maybe do a search that will give you an approximation of what Taylor looks like and see if you can find it. But, I wouldn't worry too much about that. You got to find the woman who's right for you. And if you're only worried about the looks, then you're probably going to have some other problems going on in the future, right? All right, let's talk about number 4 here. It's too expensive. All right, guys. The one thing that I can tell you with confidence is that what we offer in our group tours is the best travel value for single men that you'll ever find. I do not think there's a better travel value out there with everything you get from what we offer than what we offer. I don't think you'll find anything that even comes close to what we offer. And if you do, let me know. I would love to see it because for 23 years I've been looking and we compare lots of different things and I haven't seen one service yet that even comes close to what we offer here at A Foreign Affair. And we have, again, if you go to our seminars, we get into this a little bit more detail. And we have a handout that we give that kind of compares our tour to some regular travel agents, right? Or travel companies and what they offer, right? Now, keep in mind, they don't do any introductions. This is just the basic tour, right? And so if you look at what we offer compared to what these other companies offer, our tour is either the same or less than what these other companies are offering. And these other companies, almost every one of them forces you to share a room, right? The double occupancy thing. We never do that. That's totally up to you if you want to share a room with anybody. And then add in the value of all the different wonderful women that you're meeting at the special events that we do for you with all the socials and all the dating concierge services that we provide for you while you're there. It blows everything out of the water. And so there's just really nothing that compares to the value that you get with these tours. Now, if for whatever reason the tour itself is too expensive for you, well, that's a totally different factor. And that means that you're just not ready for this yet. And look, the last thing I want you to do is to have to beg, borrow, or steal to go on one of these tours. You shouldn't be doing that. You should be in a financial situation where you can go on one of these tours and feel perfectly comfortable. It's not your bottom dollar, and you're ready and willing to do this, right? And it's going to be a wonderful vacation, if nothing else. And it's going to be about the same cost, if not less, than what a regular vacation would be. And if you look at it through that lens, then you'll be fine. So yeah, if it's just too expensive for you at this moment in your life, then wait a year, wait 2 years until you're ready for it and then go, right? That's the way to do it. But as far as value goes, you will not find a better value than what we offer. And if you do, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to see it. All right. And let's go on to the 5th one. It's too far. I think some guys think about that. They make that a barrier that, you have to get on a plane. You have to go over and travel. By the way, guys, funny story, you really don't have to get on a plane. I once had a client who's actually doing our executive service, but he was afraid to fly. So he actually flew Tanya and I out to San Francisco to discuss everything, see how it all worked. And then he really thought it was a great idea. We started the process with him. And then when he was ready to go over, he took a train from San Francisco to New York. Then he took the Queen Mary from New York to England. Then he took trains from England to Poland. Then he took taxis and a mixture of taxis and trains and whatnot from Poland to the Ukraine. It took him about 3 weeks to get there, but he got there. But he didn't have to take a flight. Then he stayed, actually, we couldn't get him to come home. He didn't want to come home. He stayed there for quite some time, several months actually, and then he finally did come back, but at that point he just took a few sleeping pills and took the flight because he didn't want to go through that whole thing reverse. So, if you're really afraid of flying, we could do it. But I can't tell you how many guys that I have met at the seminars and whatnot who've never had a passport, who've never been on a plane, and this motivated them to do it. And so they actually went on that trip and got to see all the benefits, like you just saw there in Thailand, all the cool things that you see when you're traveling. There's a little sign on the desk right here that talks about how love is meant to be an adventure. And that's all part of it, right? That's all part of what we do. So when you worry about it being too far, well, actually, to me, that's part of the benefit of it. It's a wonderful thing. And another thing about it being too far, guys, a little added benefit is that your mother-in-law is about 8,000 miles away. That's good or bad. I love my mother-in-law, Tanya, if you're watching, and I really do. She's a wonderful woman. But yeah, you never know. All right. Let me get to a couple more questions here, and then we will move on here. Okay. So Mark wants to know, how many dates can a guy have on one tour? Well, I'm going to say basically as many as you want, all right? And actually, that's really true, because our staff is there working with you and trying to get as many dates as possible. Now, we don't pay the women to go on dates with you, and we don't put a gun to their heads to make them go on dates with you, but our staff is really good at, trying to make sure that you meet the women that you want to meet, and that you try to get these dates with these women, and they facilitate that. They facilitate it. So, when you're at a social, you're going on all these mini dates, right? And you're meeting all these different women, you're getting to know them. And then you'll go out on more intimate, more full-level dates, and then you're going 3, 4, 5 dates a day. Some guys are even doing more than that. Other guys are only comfortable in doing 1, maybe 2 dates a day. Really depends on your speed and how many dates you think you can handle. Unfortunately, sometimes guys' eyes get bigger than what they can handle, and they set up all these dates, because the staff will do that. While you're out on dates, they'll continuously call women and make more dates for you, and then call you or text you and tell you, oh, by the way, now you got another date at 4, another date at 6, another date at 8. And some of the guys will make too many dates, and then they're on a date that's going so well they don't want to leave it, and so they stand up the women. And we don't want that happening, guys, so please don't be one of those guys that starts staying up the women. We want you to go out on all the dates. But yeah, you go out on basically as many dates as you want. It's really not a problem. Okay. Getting lots of questions in here, so let me keep going here. Let's see. Question about cornbread? Yeah, not so much in the Ukraine. But you know what? That brings up a wonderful point. If you're over there, you're getting all kinds of interesting cuisine. Stay away from the McDonald's. Stay away from the Taco Bell. Stay away from the Pizza Huts. My wife and I just went to Russia recently, and her friends took us to this great little place they knew, and it turned out to be a Pizza Hut. It's like, oh, okay, this is interesting. Went all the way to Russia, and I'm at a Pizza Hut. No, guys, if you go over there, you want to stay away from the comfort zone. Put yourself out there. Experience the different things that this trip has to offer you. You're going to get as much or as little from this trip as you want, and it's up to you to make that happen, right? So keep that in mind. All right. When you mentioned Russia, there's no problem visiting Russia either, right? No, we still have an office in Russia, actually. If you want to go to Russia, that's fine. You will need a visa to go visit Russia, but that's not difficult to get, and you can go to Russia, and you can actually do one-on-one introductions. You can do a club there, mainly in St. Petersburg. That's where our office is. That's where my wife is from. That's where I just was in July. Perfectly fine. I was there. I was going out every night. We were going to restaurants. Went to Moscow. We were in St. Petersburg. We went to the Hermitage. We went to Peter and Paul Fortress. We went all kinds of Peterhof. I mean, beautiful places and no issues, no problems. The people were totally friendly. It was great. All right. All right. Let me get back to my barriers, because I love these barriers, because I still am perplexed as heck as to why we don't get more guys going on these tours and experience all these wonderful things that we have. So after it's too far, we go to number 6, which is, I'll do it later. I'll get to it. No, you probably won't, because look at you right now. If you're out here watching this webcast and you were at this point with us in 2017, which many of you are, and many of you were watching this webcast and thinking, okay, 2018 is going to be the year that I do this. Well, guess what? We're in late November of 2018. We got about another, 35 days left of the year? That's it. And 2018 is history. It's gone. It goes by fast. And I got news for you. As you get older, it gets worse. It goes faster and faster and faster. And before you know it, the years just start going like that. So if you think you're just going to get to it, if you think it's just magically going to happen without you taking a really proactive stance and making it happen, it just won't. It's just, someone's not going to come to your door and go, Bob, time to go on the tour. Come on, let's go. No one's going to do that. You have to pick up the phone. You have to make that call to us or to someone at least and get yourself on a tour. Get yourself on and get yourself over there and meet these women in person. And the only person that can make that happen is you. But you have to make it a priority. And if it's not a priority, if you're comfortable just doing, letters or chat on some other sites or whatever you're doing, then maybe that's all you really want out of it. And that's fine if that's all you really want. But if you want the reality of being together with someone, if you really want that, then you've got to really make this happen. You got to go. It's not going to happen unless you go over there, wherever over there is. Philippines, China, Thailand, Ukraine, Colombia, wherever that is for you, then you need to make that a reality. We're here to help you. We'll do everything. The infrastructure is all in place, and all you have to do is make the call, tell us where you want to go, and then you get yourself plugged into the system and just boom, 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 and everything's taken care of for you. And you're just one of those guys right there at an event just like that, talking to a beautiful woman just like that, and exchanging information or whatever he's doing right there. That's where you'll be if you allow yourself to be there. But if you keep telling yourself, this sounds good, I'm going to get to that. Guys, I was just doing seminars. We've been doing a lot. I've been to a lot of different cities talking to a lot of you, and I can't tell you how many guys came up to me and said, I've been looking at you for 20 years. I've been looking at you for 15 years. I've been thinking about this. I think I'm finally going to do it. Wish I would have done it sooner, but I think I'm finally going to do it. Don't be one of those guys. Let's not let 2019 slip through our fingers too without doing it, because it doesn't get any easier as we get older. I can tell you that. So keep that in mind. All right. Let's see here. Is that still happening on the site, Kirk, where, we just upgraded all of our servers here recently. And there's still some glitches out there, guys, and we're working on getting all the glitches fixed, right? We've been in business since '95. This is an evolution, and there's all kinds of information everywhere. And when you make big changes on a site like we just did recently and upgrade so that it's a better experience for you ultimately, and everything's faster and slicker and everything, sometimes there's going to be some growing pains along the way. And one of them seems still to be that with our new updates, when you click on the additional pictures, it takes you to a different site. Ukraine Singles. It has your info, so it's also yours. Yeah, it is ours, and it shouldn't be doing that. So it should go to the extra photos. And I apologize for that. It's been a problem that we've been experiencing for the last few weeks now. So I'm hoping they're going to be able to figure this out and get it fixed very, very soon. That's, you see the woman's first photo and you really want to see that additional photo, and then you can't, and that's frustrating. It's only on the new photos for this week. All the other ones, you can see them, the additional photos, no problem. And I imagine by tomorrow they'll have that fixed again, but I apologize for that. I know, update day is a huge day, and a lot of guys look forward to that Wednesday when, the new photos are there. So I'm not sure why that's not working properly, but we'll get to it. All right. Okay, no, we no longer have offices in the Dominican Republic. I'm sorry about that. There's only so many locations we can go to, and right now we do not have that. All right, let's see here. Mike is saying, nice to see John. It's been about 10 years since I stopped in the office down there and seeing you. Well, Mike, I hope I still look close to the way I looked 10 years ago. God knows, we're all getting a little bit older. Thank goodness. It's nice hearing from you as well. And Mike, that's one thing that we really love is when guys come in. I was just at my desk last week, when was it? I think Wednesday, and this gentleman walked in with these envelopes. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And sure enough, walked up to my desk and invited me to his wedding that's going to be taking place on the 13th here of December. So cool. Kirk, I think you got an invitation as well, right? Great guy, wonderful woman from the Philippines, and they're getting married here in Phoenix, and yes, I will be attending, and it's a wonderful thing. So I love it when guys come into the office and they share with us, they tell us their experiences, and we get to talk and interface with them. It's great. So Mike, thank you so much 10 years ago for coming to the office. Don't wait another 10 years to come back again and see us, all right? All right, let's keep talking here. Number 7. Too much red tape, too difficult. Gentlemen, this is not a difficult process. It really, really isn't. we've done all of the legwork for you. We've laid out the path. All you have to do is follow what we tell you, and you'll be successful, right? It's not difficult. Again, this is from the documentary there, and you can see she's going into getting her medical test done, right? So you have to, when you do a fiancé visa, you know, one of the things the woman needs to do is go in and have a medical done. They're looking for things like tuberculosis or AIDS or things like that. So they go in, they do their medical, they get it, boom, all done. You know, then she'll go in for an interview at the embassy. Not a big deal. Ask her a couple questions and boom, that's done. And then she gets the visa, and then she comes here, and then you have 90 days. And during that 90 days, you either get married or you don't. You know, this is all within your control. This is something that, yes, you have to do a little bit of extra paperwork because you're bringing in someone from a foreign country, but it's not that complicated. You can do it yourself if you like. We give you a do-it-yourself fiancé visa kit. It ain't hard. Or you could have one of our wonderful attorneys help you with it. It's not a difficult process. They do it all the time. They're the experts. And I would suggest having the attorney do it just because that's what they do. They do it every day. And so if you do it and you make a small mistake, it may set you back a few months. If they do it, they won't make that small mistake. They know what to do, and they know when they're preparing that petition exactly what to put in there. And so they won't make any mistakes, and you know, it'll go through the process just like it's supposed to. It's just like with anything that you're doing when you're dealing with the government. You want to make sure you do it all right, and you stay in line, because as soon as you get pulled out, then it becomes a problem and you have to, you know, redo it all. But I'm telling you guys, I've been doing this for 23 years, and just look at that. Can you imagine yourself seeing your fiance walking through that door in San Francisco? And there you are. And Tanya and I did the same thing. When second time I went over, she just jumped up on me like that and started kissing me. It is such a cool feeling. This is real. You see the body language there between those two. You see how it went to the wedding. You know, that's what we want to see, guys. You're not going to get that just by writing letters. You're not going to get that just by doing chat. You don't need to write the letters and do the chat. He didn't write letters when he met her. He went over on the tour and met her in person. I think that was in Nikolai where he met her in the Ukraine. You know, that's all you got to do. And you know, I love seeing these stories like this. And my story is the same way as so many other people that I know. It's just, it's not too much red tape. It's not too difficult. You can do this. It's not that hard. Sorry guys, I get passionate when I talk about this because I love it. I love seeing these couples and they're happy. And yeah, not everyone's going to find, you know, the perfect soulmate for them when they go on these tours. I get that. You're still going to have a great experience. You're still going to have fun. I can tell you the guys that I talk to, they say, yeah, John, I took the tour. I didn't find the woman that I wanted to marry, but I had a great time. It was wonderful. I tell my friends about it all the time. And a lot of them come back and do it again. All right. Remember, I've told you this before, but one of the best complaints I had about our tours was a gentleman who went on the tour, found a woman, a perfect match for him. He said, John, the biggest complaint I have about this tour is that it worked, and I can't do it again. Because if it works, they do get upset if you keep going back. I mean, you know, it makes sense. Unless it's your job, Tanya, and you have to. But Tanya's coming with me this time, I think, in February or late January. It's late January into early February is the very first tour in 2019 going to the Ukraine. That's going to be Odessa and Kyiv, and that's going to be an amazing tour. I did this same tour earlier this year, and it was fantastic. Such a great group of guys on that tour. They were wonderful. I mean, we all bonded. They were great. We had one gentleman who actually met a woman at one of the socials and then decided the very next day to take off to Italy with her. Who does that? He was a hero on the tour. It was great. Yeah, so there's all kinds of different things that happen during these tours, and it's amazing. And we all talk and we make friends, and it's just so much fun. All right. Let's see here. Sly says that I would make a good wingman. Well, thank you so much. I like to think that. You know, that's one of the things when I'm on the tours now, because I'm married, I'm happily married. So I love helping the guys. I will bring people together and start talking with the women. A lot of the women will come to me and say, John, bring me him. John, I want to meet him. You know, and a lot of times him is just busy talking to all the different women. And, you know, it's almost like you got to wait in line. And so they'll come up to me and they'll say, and I'll say, don't worry, I'm going to bring him over. I'm going to bring him over. And I do that so much for the these different women, and then finally I'll tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, she really wants to meet you. Come here. And then I'll take you over and I'll introduce you, and by then I've usually gotten to know you a little bit, so I'll tell her a little bit about you and how you're a great guy, nice guy, and we talk a little bit, and then I leave you two alone, and it goes on. How many of those ever go to marriage? I don't know, but I like to think a lot of them do, because when I get to put you guys together like that, I love it. Okay. Yeah, Mike, I'm thinking that hopefully, maybe there's still a tour to be determined next year. Maybe by next year we can get some tours going to Mexico. We've just been waiting to get more and more women there, because it takes time and quite a few profiles to actually do a successful tour. I don't think we're quite there yet, but we're getting there. We're getting more and more interest there. So I'm hoping, Mike. Okay. Where can I find footage of Robert and Vitalana's wedding from the Love Me documentary? You can email Kirk and he can help you with that. It used to be you could get that right on Netflix, and I'm not sure it still is on Netflix anymore. But I think you go to Amazon and just put in Love Me the documentary and you can get it there. And it's a cool documentary, guys, because it really kind of shows all aspects of it, right? It shows wonderful success stories, and it shows guys that didn't do so well for various reasons. And I think that that's a great thing, because it takes a realistic approach as to how this works. Because as I tell you every time I do one of these shows, this is not Disneyland for men. This is not go over and magically things are just going to happen and the sun's going to shine and the birds are going to sing and everything's going to be perfect. That's not what this is about. And we're not going to sit here and try and sell that to you or tell you that. It's about opportunity. It's about us giving you as much opportunity as possible, and then you doing with that opportunity what you will. And the women doing with that opportunity what they will. And it's for those people that can take that opportunity and then make that happen, right? And who knows? Sometimes it takes a little bit more than just being in a room with all these wonderful women. It takes the timing to be right. It takes all these different things to be in line to find that mutual chemistry. This is not one-sided. This is where both parties have to meet, have that spark, have that chemistry, have the right timing, and everything to be perfect to really come together as a couple and then build that relationship. I was just talking about a gentleman recently who just got back from one of our tours. He was in Colombia. He was just in Cartagena, and he was talking about this woman that he met. He actually lives here in Phoenix, great guy. And we were talking about that relationship that he met, because it's getting closer and closer, and he's excited about it. And we were just talking about things to do and not to do with these long distance relationships and how to build them. And I was using the analogy of that little fire you're trying to build in the forest. And I've talked about this before, because at the beginning, those relationships are really, really fragile, just like that little fire out in the forest where it's kind of wet and soggy and the wind's blowing and you just got that spark and you're trying to build that little fire and smoking a lot, and all of a sudden you see that flame come up, right? And then another flame, and then it builds and builds. It gets to this roaring fire. That's what you want to do with these new relationships when you can foster them and build them into that fire. And that's what he's doing, and it takes a little bit of effort at the beginning, right? You want to have the communication going back and forth, but you don't want to smother her, right? Just like a fire, if you start pulling a lot of leaves on that fire, take these leaves and you're putting those leaves on that fire, you're gonna smother it, and you don't want to do that. You want to just do just enough to build that relationship, and it should be organic. It should be mutual. It should just kind of just naturally grow. And if you're forcing it, or she's forcing it, you're going to feel resentment. You're going to feel pushback, and then that's not natural, and that's not good. But he's, doing all the right things, and he's telling me how it's all going. It's perfect. That's the way it should be going. And I see that with lots and lots of guys. Sometimes I do see either the man or the woman really pushing it, and you don't want that. Okay. All right. Let me get on to our next. Hold on. What David's asking? What is this video you're showing with the blonde going through the visa process? Oh, yeah, that is on the documentary, David. Love Me. So we were just talking about that. You can find that on Amazon. Okay. All right. All right. Number 8. Even if I go and find someone, she'll just leave me in a couple years. It's that old ignorant myth about, they come over just for the green card or just for something. There's Tanya. just for the green card or something like that. Guys, like anything in life, you have to choose wisely. You have to be accountable for what you do. And, you know, if you're worried about that with a foreign woman, then you should be worried about that with a woman right in your own backyard, because the same darn thing is going to happen, right? You know, you have to find that right person. I've been doing this for 23 years, and I can tell you that, you know, that old God Almighty green card is not the motivating factor for the vast majority of women who use our service. You know, there may be a few out there, just like there's probably a few in your neighborhood that might want to marry you just for money, or just for this, or just for that. And you can get that anywhere, because we're human beings. And when you're dealing with human beings, you're going to run the gamut of everything, right? But you know, the vast majority of women don't really care where you're from, whether it's the United States, whether it's Canada, whether it's Mexico, whether it's Australia, whether it's wherever it is. It doesn't really matter to them. What matters to them is what you're like. You know, how you're going to treat them, how you're going to treat the children that you have together. Maybe she already has a child. You know, do you go home and drink every night? I mean, these kind of things are what she's worried about. Not so much, oh my gosh, I just want to get away from this country I'm in right now. These women don't want to escape their country. They have nothing to escape from. They're doing quite well where they are right now, and you know, they're missing something in their lives. They're missing that man to share their lives with, and that's what they're really looking for, and that's what we really try to help to fill that void. Same with you. You're missing something in your life. That's why you're sitting there listening to this right now, and that's what we try to help, is to, you know, bridge that gap and bring you guys together for a serious relationship. So, you know, if you're worried about going over and doing this because, oh my gosh, she might have the wrong intentions, well then maybe you shouldn't do it. or go over and just make sure that you find that right one for you and you feel totally comfortable in her. Because I tell you what, guys, not 1 second in the 22 years since I've known Tanya did I ever even imagine that she was coming over just to come to the United States, right? And, you know, she got her green card, you know, just a few years after she was here, 2 years after she was here, she got that. Then she got her permanent citizenship just a couple years later. And not once after any of those events did I think, oh my gosh, is Tanya going to be home when I come home? No, she was there. She's still there. And for me, if she's still there with me, can you imagine how much better off you guys are going to be? Because if she can put up with me after 22 years, my gosh, you know, that's an amazing thing, right? And she's still there putting up with me. I couldn't put up with me for 22 years. There's no way, right? But she did that. And so that's great, guys. And so think about that. All right. Let's see here. We have Brian asking, I really want to go to the Philippines, but I'm curious about Peru. What are your thoughts on that country? I love Peru. I also love the Philippines. So you got a little bit of a dilemma there. You can go either place, you're going to do really, really well. But you're asking me about Peru, so I'll focus more on Peru. Guys, I think Peru is one of our best kept secret destinations, right? For some reason, we don't get as many guys going to Peru as we do to, say, the Philippines or to the Ukraine or to Colombia, right? And I don't know why that is, because Peru is spectacular. Lima is one of the coolest cities you'll ever want to go to. It's the gastronomical capital of Latin America. Tanya and I just went to a Peruvian restaurant here in Phoenix like 2 days ago. You know, we really like the food there. Now, I know you're not going for the food, but I always talk about how this trip is also a vacation, and you get so many other things. There's so many different layers to it, and one of the things you'll get when you go to Peru is an amazing vacation with Lima and all the things it has to offer. And then if you just, you know, take a quick jaunt over to Machu Picchu and all that, it's amazing. But then let's get to the, you know, the real reason why you're going over. It's not to see Lima or eat the food or go to Machu Picchu, but it's also to, well, it's obviously to see the women. And the women are just so down to earth and so wonderful and beautiful and just wanting to find that right man. You know, we sent one of our guys that worked for us over there several years ago, and he never wanted to come back. He's like, can I stay here and work? And actually, we let him do that, and he actually married the woman from there. Peru is an amazing destination. I can't even think of any cases where we had anybody saying that, oh, the woman was doing something wrong, some kind of scam or something like that out of Peru. They're just down to earth, wonderful women, and I think that if you decide to go to Peru, you won't be sorry. Sarah and her staff down there are so professional and do such a great job taking care of you as a client while you're there and introducing you to the different women that have joined our service there. They know all the women. They treat them very, very well. And you know, they just can help match you with the different women while you're there, because that's our only office that we have there. They know all the women. They do wonderful things for you while you're there, just like Philippines, just like Costa Rica, like any of our offices in Colombia. That's just, they know these women personally and do such a good job of matching for you, right? We are a very large company, but when you start going to our individual offices, it starts to become a very small company. That's what's great about a Foreign Affairs, that we've grown to be this large company that we can help so many different men and women. But when you start using the company and going to the different cities that we offer, all of a sudden it's like this small little mom and pop company. You get to know Sarah, you get to know Gustavo, you get to know Maria, you get to know ladies, you get to know all these different people and their staff, and then they help you on a local level, which is what you really difficult to get with many other companies. All right. All right. Let me keep going here. I'm trying to make sure I get to, we got just all these questions. I want to make sure I'm on all these questions. I think I'm getting them all. So if I'm not, you guys can always call me tomorrow, but I think I'm getting most of your questions here. All right. Let me get on to the next reason that I think guys don't go over, and that's fear. Number 9 is fear. Oh my gosh, our old friend fear. There it is. There's fear. It's like, oh my God, what am I doing? What's going to happen? The unknown. We fear the unknown, don't we? We just don't know. Now, we just talked about all these other reasons, like it's not real, things like that, and we've been around for so long. There's so much video. You see what's out there. You pretty much know what you're going to get when you go on one of our tours. But from all the different guys that have been there and all the different video that we have, the fear of the unknown really shouldn't be there for you, because it's pretty obvious from all this and all the testimonials that we have on our site of what you can expect on one of our tours, right? But what else? There's other kinds of fear, right? You know, it's fear of failure. What if I go over and it doesn't work? Oh my gosh. Or maybe fear of success. I've had that before. What if I go over and it does work? Oh my gosh. You know, we went through a whole executive program once with a wonderful gentleman from Texas, found him the most wonderful, beautiful woman that he ever wanted to meet, and that's what he told us. But then he decided that he was afraid of getting married. He was actually, because he got to that point, he never thought he was going to get to that point. He didn't think we were going to be able to produce, but we did. We found him the most perfect woman, and then all of a sudden he had to move forward, and he froze, and he couldn't do it because of that fear of commitment. And that's another fear, right? Fear of commitment. Do you really want to change your life? Maybe you're 50, never been married before, 55, even 60, never been married before, or in your 40s, not sure yet what's going on. Do you really want to commit? I was in my mid-30s earlier than that when I met Tanya, right around that mid-30s age, and I was had this fear of commitment thing going on myself. A little worried about it, and you know, it's just everyone has these things inside of us, these fears, right? You got to overcome it, guys, because fear keeps us from doing lots and lots of things. I tell this quote at the beginning of all our seminars from Mark Twain. And, you know, in short, it's 20 years from now, you're going to regret the things you didn't do much more than the things you did do. Guys, that's real, because I see it. I see it all the time. That's real. 20 years from now, you will regret those things you didn't do much more than things you did do. And a lot of things that stopped us from doing those things that we wonder what would have happened is fear. That's, I think, should be number 1. I think that's the biggest thing that stops guys from doing this. All these other things kind of play into it, but the fear factor, so to speak, is the one thing I think that really stops guys from doing it. So all the guys that do it, you know, I applaud, because I think it does take, even though now in 2018, and it's just been so well documented and so well laid out for you, and our office staffs are have so much experience that when you go over, it's just like secondhand. Everything is, we know exactly what we're doing, and you know, you just fall right into that system. So, but I still give you kudos for going and doing it, because it is different. It's outside the box. It's something that not everyone can avail themselves to. Not everyone can get over that hump. You can't just see it. They can't visualize themselves being there, doing it, and so they just don't. They wish they would, or they'll talk negatively about it to make themselves feel better. You know, that's just for guys that can't get dates here. That's just never going to work. It's too far. Don't have to do that. And they'll justify it that way, right? To make themselves feel better. We all do that, right? I get that. And if you're one of those guys, you're going to do that, you're going to do that. And all the yapping that I do here on Monday nights, all the yapping I do at the seminars, all the videos that we do, all the media that's been done about us, all the third-party media like the Australian television show that just documented one of our tours in September. You can see that actually on Sunday night. All that stuff, that's just, that's not going to be, that's not going to help you if you have that kind of fare, so that's all I can tell you guys. All right, let's see. What else do I have here? David says, hey, John, you're cute. Thank you, David. That's so nice of you. But I think many men would love to see and hear Tanya. Maybe she can sit in on a webcast once in a while. I can bring Tanya in and do a webcast with her. We just haven't done that in so long. I need to do that again and get Tanya in here. She goes to the seminars with me. She goes to many of the seminars, and I believe she's going to be doing the tour with us here in February. But to get her in on a webcast, I need to do that. Tanya's hilarious. Kirk, we got to do that. I'll get Tanya in here, and we'll do a webcast with Tanya. Tanya's wonderful. All right. Let's see. We have another question. How can you tell the difference between a good and bad girl? I don't even know what that really means. Good and bad. Guys, again, that's all subjective. You're going to have to come down to what's right for you. If you're going out with someone, you think that woman's not for you, she may not be. And then she'll date another guy, and guess what? She's perfect for him, right? We all have our idea of what's good, what's bad, what's right, what's wrong, what's black, what's white, even, right? We all have our own perceptions of what is right for us. And it's very, very, very personal. So what's right for one person may not be right for another person, and that's what makes this wonderful world we have go around and round and round. And so if we were all the same, and that's what, is interesting when we do these socials and these tours and these dates. Some guys go to be saying, John, didn't work out. I don't think this woman's serious. And yeah, maybe she's not serious about you, but she may go out with another guy and end up, marrying him the next month because she was serious about him. And that's what this is all about, right? Trying to find that mutual match. And just because she went out on a date and things didn't mesh doesn't necessarily mean there's anything wrong with that woman, right? It just means that maybe it wasn't a right fit for you. And it could be vice versa, right? We get women calling guys all the time saying, I went out with David and he never called back. What's wrong with him? Is he not serious? We get this all the time. We're like, well, no, he's serious. He really wants to find someone, but it just wasn't, the right match with you, unfortunately. Because the women look at it, guys, the same way that you're looking at it. And you go out on the date, they're going to start maybe calling you a player. Oh, he's just dating. Oh, he's not serious. He's this, he's that. We all do that because we don't want to be hurt. We don't want to think that maybe it was us. Maybe there's something about us that just wasn't right for the other person. And guys, that's fine. Because if you appeal to everybody in the world, I don't know, you'd be some megastar or something. It's impossible to appeal to everybody. Whether you're the man trying to appeal to the women or you're the woman trying to appeal to the men. Everyone has their different tastes and everything, and you got to understand that. That's why I tell you it's a numbers game. That's why you have to meet a lot of different people to try to find those very few candidates where it's going to come together, where the sparks are going to fly like they did for me 22 years ago at that social in July in St. Petersburg, Russia, right? Boom, hit me. I thought I was going to have a stinking heart attack. It was crazy when I saw Tanya there. It was wonderful crazy, but it was crazy. And I was nervous. My palms were sweating. My heart was beating. I was afraid to go up and talk to her. And I was there working. I had every reason to be there, and I was still nervous. That's what you want. You want that feeling. You want your toes to start tingling and, to be nervous like a school kid again. Isn't that wonderful? It's great. And that's what we try to do at these socials. But you got to meet a lot of people to try to find that. I'm getting passionate again. I got to stop that. Kirk, slap me. Just hit me when I do that. Say, John, stop that. I do that. I go off. I can't do that. All right. We're running out of time too. And I got to get to number 10 here. So I'm going to do that. Do guys ever experience any restaurant scams where we're charging our price to girl has to deal with them? You know, I think that happens from time to time, and we do a lot of work on that to make sure it doesn't. So we give like approved list of restaurants that you should go to, and actually now in Odessa we're working on getting discounts. Which is wonderful. So, you know, we're asking these restaurants to give our guys like 10% discount. So when they go to the restaurants, they get the discount off the bill right then and there. But again, I talk about this where you can have cases where someone might try to take advantage of you, whether you're a woman or a man. That's going to happen in real life. And yes, it can happen on these tours both ways. Men taking advantage and women taking advantage. But again, I look at it as a big bell curve, and the vast majority of men and women are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And then let the other ones go play their little games and hope they find each other and play their games with each other. But what I want to see is the people coming together, having the marriages, having the real relationships, even if they don't lead to marriage. Can you imagine meeting someone? Some of our couples have met on our site and are still friends. Maybe they're not married, but they still are close friends after years. I know Joe, who does a lot of our tours, is very close friends with many women that he's met over there. And they still communicate as friends. That's wonderful to build these long-lasting foreign friendships, and you exchange these different ideas and cultures and everything. There's just so many things that can come out of this if you give yourself that opportunity. All right, and so you guys got lots of questions. That's cool. Let's see. Can you be introduced to the translators and choose the one you like to be your guide? Yeah, absolutely. We actually have in quite a few of our venues a opportunity to meet all the different translators. And if you feel a better connection with one, then we'll definitely try and put you with that one. We also try to put the more experienced translators with guys who are just brand new to this whole thing. Although all the translators are very well, but if one has a little bit more experience than another, then we'll try to pair that with a guy who's maybe a little too shy, or it's his first experience with us. All right, I got to get to this last one here because we're just about out of time, and if we go over I get yelled at and they'll fire me, and I don't know what I'll do because I don't know what else I could do unless I did this, so I can't get yelled at. So I'm going to do number 10 here, which is kind of like number 9 when it comes to this barrier that keeps guys from doing this. You know, I talked about fear. Number 10 is like deer in the headlights. And there's our deer, and there he is, and he just doesn't know what to do, right? I mean, you just see him, and he's just looking like, I don't know what to do, you know? And you got all this stuff going on behind him, right? All this beautiful stuff, and that deer is just frozen, can't move. Kind of wants to do it, right? Doesn't think that there's probably anything wrong with it, but he just doesn't move, doesn't do it. He's almost over the fear, although the fear is kind of making him in this stage that he's in. It's, you know, it's like, don't know what to do. I'm just like this deer in the headlights. I just don't know what to do. Should I do it? Should I don't know. I don't know. Guys, let me tell you. Seriously, this isn't rocket science. If this is something you want to do, just call us, talk to us about it, you know, and if it's right for you, it's right for you. If it's not, it's not. The last thing that we ever do here is anything salesy, anything high pressure, anything like that. You'll never get that from anyone with a foreign affair. No one's ever accused us of being high pressure. We give you information. We show you these videos. We talk to you about how cool it is. I get a little passionate about it, but I'm not saying, you got to do this by tomorrow. We're going to give you this. No, we're not doing any of that crap, right? You didn't see us on Black Friday giving some kind of special or something. We don't do that. That's just not something that we do, right? You saw all the stores doing it, the Macy's and all the other ones, they're doing it, but we didn't. Why didn't we do that? Because it's just not something we do. This isn't a high pressure type thing. This is just here for you if you're ready for it. And when you're ready for it, you'll be there. That's why we get guys that have been looking at this for 20 years, right? They've been looking at us for a long time, and then when they're finally ready, even though I really don't want you to wait 20 years, but if you're going to, you're going to, right? And that's okay. At least you'll still go, whether it's 20 years later or not. At least you're going to still avail yourself of that opportunity. But we're not going to beat you up over this, right? And when you come to the seminars, all those seminars are just a way to help you take that step forward if you're ready for it, right? If you're not ready for it, then you shouldn't do it, whether it's financially, whether it's emotionally, whatever it is. If you're not quite ready for this, I don't want you to do it. I want you to go if you're really ready for it. And when you're at a seminar, we give you some seminar-only discounts because you came to that seminar. You showed that you really are thinking about this, and we want to help you take that next step forward, but we're not going to beat you up with that. that whole seminar is all about just talking to you about how all this works, other people coming in and talking about how their experience was and all that. That's what it's all about. It's not about trying to beat you up for 4 hours like you're in a used car parking lot and they bring in 4 different managers trying to beat you over the head to buy that damn car. No, this is way too important for that. You know, this isn't used car sales. This, not that they're, look, you guys who are selling used cars, my heart goes out to you. Not an easy thing to do. But this isn't trying to get someone to do something right now because you know if they walk off your lot, they're never going to do it, that kind of thing. That's not what this is about. We've been here for 23 years. God willing, we'll be here another 23 years. We keep growing. We had more guys, I think, last year take our tours than any years previous. And I'm sure next year is going to be great too. So we're here for you. When you need us, you can call us, you can talk to us, you can talk to myself, to Bud, to Kirk, to Michelle, to Anna, there's so many different people, and if you're really, really concerned about a destination you're going to, we'll have you talk to one of the managers from that destination. I had a gentleman who talked to Sarah in Peru. He was a little concerned about going to Peru, and I had him on the phone with Sarah, the manager in Peru office, and she talked about the different hotels they were going to be at, and the different socials where they were going to be, and how the women were in Peru, and she really helped him understand what the whole experience was going to be like, coming from her who was living right there in Lima and was going to do everything from her, and he went and had a wonderful time. So those are the kind of things that we'll do for you when you're ready, right? So if you are that deer in the headlights, that's okay. But sooner or later, you need to do something or you're going to get run over if you don't move, right? I mean, you know, you got to think about that. So sooner or later, decide what it is you want to do. And if this is for you, great. If not, if you still want to be a voyeur, you know, voyeurism's okay. You can watch. You can be on the sidelines. But if you want to really get in the game, do it, all right? I got my football there. I had to use that game metaphor. You knew it was coming. There was a reason for that football. I don't know about the pumpkin. It's just I like pumpkins. I can't come up with a metaphor for that. All right, I think I'm going to answer these last couple. You like that, huh? I knew you'd like that deer in the headlights thing, yeah. Couple last questions and I got to go because I'm really going to get yelled at. John, you've been to many socials. What is your opinion on dress? Can a guy do okay without the suit and tie? Look, I will tell you that I've had guys from like Texas who've gone over in full nice cowboy western wear attire with the cowboy hat and those jeans and that big cowboy belt and all that stuff, and the women ate it up. They loved it. They were all over that. And I swear, and I've said this before, I've never seen a guy who brought a cowboy hat to the Ukraine or any place ever leave with it, right? I mean, it stays there. So don't think about coming back with that cowboy hat. But if you want to go, look, you don't have to wear the suit and the tie. You know, I think if you're going to, say, the Ukraine in the winter, probably a good idea because the women are going to be really dressed up there. If in the summer it's a little warmer, so they're still going to be dressed up, but they're going to be wearing a little bit, you know, less clothing, and you could probably get away with a nice shirt, nice slacks, okay? You still want to look good, right? Because that wardrobe is important. That's your first impression. You know, they're going to look at your shoes. You're wearing like some beat up old shoes or tennis shoes or God forbid flip-flops, okay? You don't want to do that. So wardrobe is important. Smart casual could work, okay? A suit and tie, you don't have to do that. You know, I want you to be comfortable. I don't want you to be like in what you think is a monkey suit. But then I just talked to a gentleman who says he's always in a suit, very comfortable in a suit. He's wondering if he could wear it. I'm sure you're going to wear that because you're going to fit right in because the women dress nicely at these events. You see them. You see what they're wearing. And for the most part, they're dressing very nicely. So you want to dress nicely too. All right. And how much do you recommend the man take to Ukraine cash? Guys, it really depends on your spending habits. We don't nickel and dime you to death when you're there. We don't charge you extra up front for interpreters. A lot of the guys on our tours never use the interpreter, so why would you pay someone to use an interpreter up front where you may never even use it? You know, never made any sense to us, so we don't do it that way. So you may end up paying a little bit for an interpreter if you're using it outside of the socials, right? The socials it's all free, it's included, part of the tour. In our office staff, if you have someone that's in the office and hospitality room, they'll help you translate for free as well. But if you're going out to dinner or something, you need a third-person interpreter to go with you, then they're going to charge you a little bit for that. I think it's 15 to 20 bucks an hour, somewhere around there. But other than that, you know, there's not a whole lot that you're paying for. So it just depends on your dining preferences and how many souvenirs you're going to buy. Somewhere around 1,000 to 1,500 bucks, somewhere in that range for a regular tour is probably good for most guys. Some guys might spend more than that. You might want to spend a couple thousand. It just depends on what you like spending while you're out there. Okay. And the last question is going to be from Jordan. Can I pay to send something to an office and have the ladies pick them up at the office if they have not yet signed my IMBRA? Jordan, we really don't do that. We try not to get in that because there's been, for 23 years we tried lots of different things, and we tried doing that, but then there was problems and issues, and it just gets a little complicated. You can call in and talk to me personally about that if you want tomorrow, and we can find a way to resolve it or figure out what we can do for you to satisfy that. Okay, so call me. We'll work on it. I'm pretty easy to get a hold of, so yeah, not a problem. All right. If you're gonna call me tomorrow, make it in the afternoon. I got a bunch of meetings in the morning, but in the afternoon would be great. All right. All right, guys, we're over time here, so I got to run, but I really want to thank all of you for all your cool questions. I apologize if I got a little too passionate. I do tend to do that. If you come to my seminars, someone usually has to restrain me a little bit. They don't even let me drink coffee anymore. I've been cut off from that, so I don't know what the problem is, but that's just the way it is. But love to see you at one of our seminars coming up, either Albuquerque or Houston, Dallas, and 2019 tour schedule's there, guys. Check it out and make 2019 the year that it happens, that you get out there. Don't let 2019 slip through like 2018 already has. It's crazy, right? All right, and I think Bud will be back here next Monday, so you don't have to put up with me again, but if not, I may be here again, but I think Bud will be here. All right, so until next time, guys, have a wonderful week, and we will see you soon.